In this video, I'm going to show how I made Kit Kat silicone molds. So over here we have Kit Kat Chunky Canada, Kit Kat Big Cat United States, which you could find in grocery stores in the US, Kit Kat Chunky in most countries, and Kit Kat Chunky United Kingdom, the one with #MyBreak at the very left. A whole variety of Kit Kat Chunky molds that I could use for a lot of the Kit Kats that have cream fillings, or to like mix Oreos in a Kit Kat more easily. That's why I made these molds. So anyways, let's get to making them. Now, as a warning, before you attempt this project, silicone is expensive and you gotta be really careful. These projects could make a huge mess. Over here I'm measuring the silicone, as you see here. I just measured the silicone. It's a 1:10 ratio. This is Smooth Sil 950. And now I'm adding the catalyst. Yeah, the catalyst, as you see right there. And now we gotta mix that in, so mix it up. I measured accurately using a gram scale. You have to have an accurate gram scale and measure it accurately. I'm pretty sure Smooth Sil 950 is a 10-to-1 by weight. You also have to shake the catalyst like I showed in the previous clip. And then you mix it up. Yeah, mix it up. After mixing it up, you then want to pour all the mixture from one container to another to make sure nothing got unmixed. Make sure this is mixed accurately, otherwise it will not be food safe and you can end up with cure inhibition, which means the silicone won't properly set up if you don't mix it properly. After you've mixed the entire thing in the second container and confirmed a thorough mix, you're ready for the vacuum chamber. Air bubbles make molds such a pain to clean, so I invested $600 in both the vacuum pump and chamber just to get rid of them. Slow-mo, 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 drop, 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 whoa! Yeah, take that! Go away! Go away, you fucking air bubbles! Nobody likes you! All you do is make silicone molds a pain! I'm getting rid of all you air bubbles! Nobody wants air bubbles! This machine is getting rid of the air bubbles! Goodbye, air bubbles. But yeah, on a serious note, this machine gets rid of all the air bubbles. Ah, finally! These fucking air bubbles are gone! Alright, now it's time for the next step. So the next step is we then pour the silicone over the prepared negative mold. Yeah, there's Kit Kats in the negative mold. Sorry I didn't film the part where I glued so many Kit Kats into the negative mold using chocolate. But now we're pouring the silicone. And the previous step I just showed will guarantee the molds will be easier to clean and I won't have to deal with any air bubbles at the bottom. Yeah, that's the best part. Alright, let's continue. Now time to demold and clean up the mold. And just like that, I've successfully casted Kit Kats in silicone. Now the next step is to clean the mold. Trim away the excess silicone using a knife, and sorry, but I cleaned the mold off camera, so I apologize for missing a bit of filming. I can't afford to buy more silicone and film this whole thing again. All that matters is getting the project done. Unfortunately, I scratched the mold, as you see here cleaning with an aggressive brush, so now I'm going to recast the Kit Kats I care the most about. The Japanese one, which is all the way in the right, I did not bother recasting because it wasn't so efficient on wafers, and there were no... Well, there were plastic Kit Kats of the Japanese Kit Kat made, but I never really used them. But yeah, time to go recast a few because I screwed up. Sorry I forgot to film measuring the silicone and everything. Now it's back into the vacuum chamber to get rid of the air bubbles once again. Alright, enjoy the satisfying footage from here, with some catchy music of course. Aw, you missed the catchy music, don't you? Well, now I'm pouring the silicone over the Kit Kat because I'm recasting the Kit Kat Chunky England, or United Kingdom, whatever you call that country. We're recasting that Kit Kat just to make it come out smooth. And this time I'm not going to muff it up again. I am not going to scratch this darn thing again. I'm going to clean this mold carefully with the sponge to guarantee that I get good results before moving on with the liquid plastic. But there's still one more to recast. Time to demold. Here I'm breaking apart the negative mold I made. And now I'm going to take the mold out, remove the Kit Kat, throw it away because as you know, Kit Kats that touch silicone in its liquid state are not safe to eat. I mean, you could probably get away with eating it, but just to be on the safe side, we'll throw this Kit Kat in the garbage, clean the mold, and then the mold is food safe. But it's not going to be food safe for much long. But why? Because once you start using it with epoxy resin, it is no longer food safe. The only thing that'll be food safe from here on are the plastic Kit Kats. But I'll tell you at the end what you have to do to guarantee it's food safe. And here we are, just have to clean the mold now that I've cut off all the excess, and we're good to go. Or not. I'm recasting another Kit Kat just so the Kit Kat Chunky Canada comes out smoother, and I had to order more Canadian Kit Kats from Canada, which costed a lot of money. So I did that, and now I missed even more filming, so back to the vacuum chamber where we vacuum more silicone to cast that other Kit Kat. This time I'm using the aqua silicone because I didn't want too much of the blue silicone because I needed that for the Kit Kat project. I was in the middle of another project and had extra of this silicone, so we're using the aqua silicone. Yes. Into the vacuum chamber it goes. Into the vacuum chamber it goes again. And you know what? Because you're nice enough to make it this far, I'll give you back your catchy music. Got rid of the air bubbles once again. Time to demold the Canadian Kit Kat. Then clean it up and get the show on the road with the epoxy resin. Sorry, the good part of the catchy music ran out, so I'm gonna go switch it up. Alright, now it's measuring the epoxy resin, because I gotta make plastic Kit Kats. This way, if my silicone molds break, I'll never have to buy Kit Kats ever again, sabotaging Nestle. Hopefully they don't sue me for this. They're not gonna sue me. You can't sue someone with no money, cause I'm broke after doing this project. Well, yeah, alright. Let's get the show on the road. After repeating the process so many times, I finally have 6 of every Kit Kat. I have 6 regular Kit Kat Chunkies, 4 here, 2 here, and then I have 6 England ones. As you see, they say #mybreak. 6 Canadian ones that I've already glued to the acrylic sheet, and last but not least, 3 Kit Kat Big Cats. Now, the reason I did not make so many Kit Kat Big Cats is because each of these equals 2. So I'm going to do a mold of 3 for the Kit Kat Big Cat, and then molds of 6 for the rest. I've already glued the Canadian ones. I'm going to show on video gluing the remaining. Alright, I'm now mixing up more silicone, only this time we're making the molds for real. These are going to be the finished molds, using the plastic negative molds I made earlier. Sorry I didn't film that part. The only difference this time is we're sabotaging Nestle, making this Kit Kat mold successfully. Well, this attempt wasn't so successful, as you will see later on in the footage. So I'm mixing, making sure to scrape the sides and everything. Sorry you can't really see that. The video is sped up so it doesn't end up being too long to be watchable. So right now I'm transferring the silicone and scraping as much as I can. Because of the consistency of silicone, I unfortunately get a huge loss, even though this stuff is so expensive. So I'm scraping all the silicone into a brand new clean container. And I'm also gonna switch out the mixing sticks as soon as I start mixing. Now just be mindful of the pot life when working with these materials. Does this material have enough pot life to vacuum? You could watch Smooth-On's tutorials for more information. Mixing this is very important to guarantee there's no unmixed parts, because if it's not evenly mixed, it won't be food safe. If it's evenly mixed, because I use platinum silicone, it'll be better than any mold on Amazon. Well, except for the molds made with platinum silicone, because we use platinum silicone, the good stuff. not the peroxide silicone that the FDA allows that's toxic. But yeah. Time to vacuum it, and you are going to see that I am not going to be that successful. Because of the humidity, which accelerated the pot life, even though I was within time limits, the silicone set up before I could use it, resulting in a mold that didn't come out quite as good. Which is annoying, but it is what it is. The following attempt, this doesn't happen. So what I did was, for the following attempt, is I decided to wait till an extremely cold day to use the silicone. But if you ever keep a gallon of silicone for weeks on end, you might want to spray, extend it into it to prevent moisture from accelerating the pot life like it did here. Oh, sorry about that. I can't forget about your favorite sketchy music. I mean catchy music, I'm sorry. Alright, I'm now pouring the silicone, and darn it! It's not flat on the top. Well, that's that. At least the mold is still food safe. It's just, it's gonna be a little awkward using it, and the mold isn't the best. But at least the inside still came out good, as Future, the advanced chocolatier, is saying. Well, anyways, let's go do that all over again because, you know, there was a limit of what I could fit in my vacuum chamber, so we have to mix that up all over again to do the rest. I just demolded this Kit Kat mold. Despite the moisture, let me turn on the light. Despite the moisture making the side come out bad, the inside's amazing. It came out almost perfect. It just has a bad top. Long story short, moisture got in the silicone somehow, resulting in an accelerated pot life. Now, moisture does not negatively impact silicone. It just accelerates the pot life. But one way around this is to use the silicone during cold temperatures, and that'll give you more pot life. But in the future, I'm going to spray tetrafluoroethene or Smooth-On's Extend It into both parts of Smooth Sil 950, and that will prevent moisture contamination in the future, because having a short pot life is annoying. Alright, so to guarantee the molds are food safe, the last part of the process I have to explain. When the plastic Kit Kats are being made, the earlier silicone mold is no longer food safe because now it's plastic contaminated. But when the plastic Kit Kats come out, the plastic Kit Kats are food safe after you've waited a few additional days for them to completely harden. Once hardened, after a few days, you take the plastic Kit Kats, glue them into an acrylic box. You then have a food-safe negative mold. Well, epoxy resin is not the most food-safe plastic, even though I used a food-safe one. But the plastic Kit Kats, along with inside the negative mold, is food-safe enough to pour platinum silicone inside. And then the finished mold that comes out is food-safe because no epoxy resin in its liquid state touched the mold. Only epoxy resin in its solid state, in its cured state, touched the mold. Therefore, the last silicone mold made is food safe because it did not touch any liquid epoxy resin, and the last mold was used in previous videos to make Kit Kats. But I used platinum silicone, and this one even has an FDA certification on it. Unfortunately, I don't have an FDA certification, so the mold is still not considered food safe because the user has to apply for an FDA certification, which could be a lot of trouble. But anyways, I'm doing it for the final time, mixing up the silicone. Again, the last mold is food safe because it was never used to cast plastic parts, and plastic was never used in the last mold. Plastic was used in some previous molds, making the previous molds not food safe. Only the later molds are food safe because no plastic was casted in the silicone mold right when it came out of the negative mold. Just wanted to make that clear. Because I'm mixing up the rest of the entire container, no need to mix. If you wonder why I don't save silicone for the future, it's because this stuff expires. So I'm mixing up the catalyst, because like that matters, I'm going to use the same mixing stick anyways. But I will change mixing sticks once I change containers, because we're going to do a double mix. And this container I ended up throwing out because it wasn't worth having to clean it and everything, plus the fact that it's not a clear container, because I like the clear ones better that you could see the bottom, so it's easier to scrape and mix. But anyways, let's mix it up and get these molds done. Just to be clear, I threw out the yellow container, not the clear one on the left, because the yellow smooth-on container is not clear. Also, one thing I'd like to point out is this video is sped up, and the project is a lot harder than it looks. It's messy, it's a lot of work, it's expensive. I spent over $1,000 on both the silicone and the vacuum chamber. Now, I did find another use for the vacuum chamber about 2 years later after this project. Another use I have is I could also use the vacuum chamber to freeze-dry things and other science experiments, as long as I'm willing to afford the cost of the pump oil. Because the vacuum chamber... Because the vacuum pump burns pump oil every time you use it, and then you have to change the oil. You have to change the oil quite often in that thing. Now, don't worry, this doesn't contaminate the silicone. The vacuum pump oil is a closed system within the pump that never gets in the chamber, as long as you open the valves correctly. And if you need a vacuum chamber tutorial, let me know and I'll give you one. But anyways, let's now vacuum the silicone, pour it, and we're done. You see, I'm using a gram scale to measure each mold because I'm pouring the remaining into several molds. And to guarantee that each mold is filled accordingly, there are different molds, and different molds use different grams of silicone, so basically I did the math and made sure I had enough silicone, and I calculated how much silicone I have left based on what I used previously, because I always calculate the silicone before I fill the mold to guarantee the correct amount goes into each one. So now I'm filling the mold, no moisture contamination because I did this at night, as you saw the vacuum chamber, to guarantee that I'd have a longer pot life before the silicone set. So now we pour the silicone and wait. Alright, it's time, the very last Kit Kat demolding. Let's finally get this done. I am officially demolding the Kit Kat mold, breaking apart the walls. I can't believe it. Soon I'm gonna get to make Kit Kats, even though I didn't get around to that till a month later. I needed a big break after this. But, see, it's coming off nicely, and... Alright, time to cut away the edges. Keep in mind, the mold is not food safe until you wash it with soap and water. I'm going to use a soft sponge because I don't want to get scratches in my mold. And just like that, I have successfully made Kit Kat molds. Now, if you don't want to make Kit Kat molds, and you want to do something else with silicone, that's fine. You could buy silicone to mold whatever you want. You can make chocolate bar molds. You could choose not to copy copyrights like Kit Kats. You could choose not to copy trademarks. Don't do foolish things like I did, because Nestle could sue you. But anyways, as you see, we got all these nice Kit Kat molds ready for a future project. Ready to cast some chocolates. And the molds have now been cleaned. I cleaned them off camera, by the way. I really should show the boring cleanup. And I spent hours cleaning those mixing containers when I realized now I had so many of them that I wasn't going to do another project for a while. I should have just thrown them out to save hours of time cleaning them. But nonetheless, we got molds. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And congratulations if you made it that far in this video.